What is up, Florida Man Does Weather? We are back with a video forecast. I know it's been a minute, but you know, things are finally starting to heat up. We've finally got some time on our hands to do this. So yeah, we've got an extensive severe weather sequence starting today. Today is kind of the appetizer of the appetizers. It's like, you go to a Mexican restaurant, you get the chips and salsa first. That's what today is. You've got a couple of supercells trying to fire off in Kansas amid slightly enhanced westerly flow. These aren't going to do too much. They're working in an environment right now characterized by 80-degree surface temperatures and dew points in the mid to lower 50s. So your primary threat with those is definitely going to be hail. There is some slight potential for a tornado maybe a bit later into the evening as your moisture, well, not even really your moisture increasing. It's more the temperatures cooling and getting a little bit closer to your actual dew point on the ground. That should help lower your cloud bases. And if you have a storm riding like right on the boundary that's up there, there's a little bit of a differential heating kind of warm front zone up there. Uh, Pretty much on the Kansas-Nebraska border. If you get a storm that is like directly on that and moving east in surface space, you could see a tornado, but the likelihood of that is pretty much slim to none. Your main threat's going to be hail, maybe some damaging winds with anything that congeals out of this or any storms that just go downdraft heavy. The real party starts in the next few days and really goes all the way out to next Wednesday, next Thursday, possibly. And yeah, this is the kind of pattern that just seems to want to reload over and over and over. It's a very classic dry line pattern with some short waves ejecting out into the plains that will induce cyclogenesis themselves and drag things off further north and east. So your main area where you're going to see just repeated guaranteed severe weather, definitely Texas, Kansas, Oklahoma. Those areas, you're going to see some stuff. Further northeast into Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana. That's all still in question a little bit. I know we've had a very busy year so far up in those areas. And frankly, all the way down to Texas as well. It's been pretty busy, but we'll see. We're going to take it day by day. Let's get into the GEFS first. So what we're going to pull up here, this is basically showing probabilities for supercell composite parameter greater than 5. Now, greater than 5 is basically significant severe weather possible.
Yes.
That supercell composite parameter takes into account a bunch of different meteorological factors and puts it out into one number. I think your kind of baseline threshold for like transient supercell structures is about a 2 or 3. Once you get into the 5 range, you're talking more consistent supercell development, more of a tornado threat environment is possible when you see that. So yeah, let's get the model loop going on this and just run it through out to next Wednesday. So we can just give everybody a little look at the areas we're looking at.
Sure. And just while this thing is loading in, just to build off of what Caleb was saying about the composite, think of the composite as, well, don't think of it as, it literally is a big math equation. Okay. And so there's multiple parts of this math equation. Some of them are your shear values, some of it is your cape value, some of it is helicity, that kind of thing. So, and what they do is the supercell composite takes all of those factors together. It builds all of them. Okay. I was just using those different parameters as an example. Every equation uses a different set of parameters. Um, but all of that aside, there's an equation with a set. The supercell composite is an equation with a set of specific predetermined parameters, and those parameters, whenever they're combined together and they generate a numerical value, uh, that value falls into a threshold of favorability for supercells and severe weather to build. The higher the threshold of those values, the more conducive the environment. Like Caleb was saying, about a 2, that's your minimum value for transient supercells. It's not a favorable environment, but at the same time, it's not necessarily hostile. It's kind of in between. You got a slight chance you'll get them here and there. As you get higher, five greater, then you're starting to look at and talk about. Um, that's when you're starting to talk about and look at more major storms, more major events.
So as it cycles through, you can kind of just see these same areas over and over and over building up. And this is really a continuous thing. Once you get past about next Wednesday, it starts to get just kind of a repetitive look because it's that time of year. It's reading basically a consistent signal of hey, central US, the ingredients are present. But that's reading off of kind of climatological norms. It's that time of year. The real things we're going to be looking at now are your 500 millibar flow pattern. This is what's really going to be driving this whole setup. So let's take it over to the GFS. We're going to start out. Yeah, let's do the individual little steps. So step it over to Friday 18Z, which would be tomorrow. There we go. Yeah, that works too. So you've got plenty of cold air, westerly flow. You're going to have a little frontal boundary setting up over the northern Oklahoma, southern Kansas area. I do think this will get a slight risk, primarily for hail and wind. Your moisture is going to continue to build. You're going to have kind of a constant stream of low-level moist air advection into this region. So maybe a slightly higher chance of a tornado given some favorable cell interactions tomorrow, but still Friday, your main threat is going to be hail. And off in California, you can see that trough really starting to come in. That's your main player in this scenario. So now we can stair step it over to Saturday 18Z. Saturday is where you start to get a little bit more of that full overlap of ingredients coming together. You've got a lot more moisture coming in. Saturday looks like a straight up dry line setup. You've now got full southwesterly flow entrenched across the region. Plenty
Yeah.
of cold air aloft. You should have some good instability. Take a sounding in the panhandle area of Texas. That might be too far south and west. Nope, so that works. So this is clearly a cloud cover, degraded sounding. There's too much moisture in the atmosphere in this sounding location. This is like under a stream of higher flow and higher moisture. But what to pay attention to is that hodograph right there. So you have kind of an indeterminate low level wind field, not that good of a shear profile, but you've got consistently strong winds throughout the mid levels and upper levels of the profile. That should be sufficient for a dryline supercell setup in this area. Now, what tends to happen with these dryline supercell setups on days like this, where you've just got broad southwesterly flow, you get a couple of supercells to fire up on wherever that dry line's bulging. We can't really predict that right now. That's more of a mesoscale feature. That's a day of type of prediction. Maybe you can get it a day ahead if your model is correct, your short-term convection allowing model like the HRRR. We like that one. RRFS, we'll probably be using that a lot. Make sure to follow our Facebook because things will obviously change on the day of. But, you know, you're going to have supercells fire up wherever that dry line is bulging. It creates a little bit more enhanced convergence because you got to think you're going to have southerly and southeasterly winds. So if you got a dry line that is, let me align with the camera, doing this, and you've got winds coming in from the south, it's going to start to bump into that and want to rise. So you'll get a couple of supercells to fire up off of that. If you get
Mm-hmm.
a bunch in a small area, you could also get a storm complex to fire up. Now that's what I think is going to happen on Saturday. You get some supercells. They're mainly going to be hail producers. Maybe if one starts moving more southeasterly or easterly, it becomes a right moving supercell, has some more enhanced tornado potential. But right now, it doesn't really look like much of a short wave is going to be coming out on Saturday. That's more of a Sunday possibility. So let's stair step it over to Sunday. Keep in mind that whatever complex develops will last overnight into Sunday. So that is going to play a role in what gets the worst of what area gets the worst weather on Sunday. So by Sunday, Now your trough is starting to swing in, and we might have a little bit of a shortwave in play in the Colorado, New Mexico area as well. So this is where you're going to start to have possibly a surface low start to develop along that dry line and north of where you kind of have that moisture starting to come in. Some surface low may develop off of this, and I do believe that whatever storm complex comes in, it's definitely going to impact your convection on this day. But I would say anywhere from northern Kansas down to like the Austin, Texas area has some threat for severe weather on this day. Once again, you've got that broad southwesterly flow. Take a sounding dead center in Oklahoma. That should be a good one. Yeah, so there you go. Now you've got a little bit more of a supercell profile starting to show up. You've still got primarily speed fear in play, and it will enhance towards the evening as your low level jet starts to ramp up. And that's more of a thermal difference type of thing between the Earth's surface and the lower levels of the atmosphere, but we won't bog you down in the details of that. What is necessary to pay attention to is that big cape layer above the surface. That's a hail promoting layer right there. You're starting to get these really obvious hail soundings within the models, and you've got plenty of deep layer shear. So once again, another dryline supercell setup could be enhanced by a surface low. We'll have to watch out for any triple points of warm fronts that are forming because that will enhance your low level spin as well.
Yes,
And
and
then
it's.
let's yeah,
I was
you
also
go.
say too, with it being cold already as is in the mid layers, look at this dry pocket, this dry wedge right here. That dry wedge is going to speed up your evaporation as that updraft funnels in moisture from the surface. That will, as that evaporates into the drier air, that's going to speed up your evaporative cooling, which in turn will help fuel these hail producers.
Hmm. Yeah, you're gonna get. I'd say Sunday is probably gonna have at least 5 to 10
Hmm.
hail reports greater than 2 inches. I think the atmosphere is very supportive of it that day, and it only gets better when you go to Monday. So let's head to Monday at 18Z as well. So Monday. You know what? 0Z is fine as well if you want to do that.
Tuesday 0.
Yeah, right there. That's perfect. So now by Monday, your big trough really starts to slide into the area. Look at how far south that is. That is a big trough to be that far south this time of year. That spells a lot of problems. So pretty much the same area. I think it might shift a little bit further east. So like central Oklahoma down to areas. Let's see. Let me pull up a map real quick. Central Oklahoma is pretty much a bet once again. And then areas kind of east of like, where's a big town down there? East of San Antonio. So if you have a straight line down from there, that's where I think some of your biggest risk area is going to set up for Monday and points northeast as well. Because by this time, you're definitely having repeated cyclogenesis along some short waves. You can kind of see one being depicted in the height lines from about Kansas through Oklahoma and that eastern part as well. There's like
579, which is 5,790 feet down to 5,730 feet.
Mhm. So you're gonna have more and more forcing come in. So you know what? Take a sounding in Southwest Missouri.
Right
Missouri?
here, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like trying to read this map on this screen. I've been telling people all day I need better glasses. All right, so this is what you're looking at.
Yeah, perfect. So now that you've got a little bit stronger flow, and this is going to be a feature for kind of all of these days, capping layer starts to becoming a bit of more of a pronounced feature on your modeled soundings, at least. It's really going to be a feature there every day. That's just a feature of what happens with the Southwest flow events. So yeah, there's going to be a little bit of that to work through, but check that photograph. we've got already some more enhanced low level curvature in the hodograph on this model for really like Monday night. So your Monday night hodograph is already showing a little bit more enhanced low level curvature than in previous days. Let's take another sounding further west into Kansas. I believe that will be a decent idea as well.
Right about here.
Central, a little bit more to the right. Yep. Oh, nope, we're behind the dry line.
Yeah,
But
let's go a
that's a
little bit
good
further east.
example of our shear.
I think it's right here. That's where it looks like the marker is.
Much better. Much, much, much better.
Sure.
So right there, you've got a tornadic sounding. And having that be this far out from the actual day, that's a little bit concerning. That means the model is picking up definitely more enhanced low level wind shear potential. And yeah, that's not a good thing this far out. There's still plenty of time for this setup to fail, but this is starting to look like more of a high ceiling setup Monday and Tuesday of next week, especially. So, speaking of Tuesday, let's move on to Tuesday. This is where things get really, really interesting to me,
Mhm.
especially
It's just
because we start to get into Iowa, the old stomping grounds.
it's just worth noting before we jump off of this. So keep in mind when we're saying this, we're talking about a dryline event in north central Kansas. Okay. A lot of times your dryline events are in Texas. Sometimes they will stretch even, up into Oklahoma. I mean, El Reno is a notorious example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you'll it's not uncommon to see them even into Oklahoma, but we're talking this is north central Kansas, dry line all the way up. There is a lot of stuff going on in this event. Just to give you an idea of the forcing and the dynamics and the strength of the system that's at play here. Obviously, it's a long way out, so things can change, but there's a lot. There's a lot at play. The ceiling is very high in this situation. What was that? What was you looking for? Tuesday what?
Tuesday 21Z. So we're going to switch it up a little bit here. So by Tuesday, your trough really does start to kick out into the plains. You've got much, much stronger southwesterly flow, and your core of your jet streak is going to be moving quite fast. That's a very fast jet translation speed. It's a bad thing. It's a very bad thing if you know what that is. Um, but your trough as well is taking on a more neutral tilt. So
Right
your
here.
trough's amplifying as it comes into the central plains. It's got a lot of warm, moist air to work with. You're going to have a surface cyclone probably up in the South Dakota, northern Nebraska area.
Yep.
So your warm front is going to be draped somewhere in northern Iowa, maybe southern Minnesota. But you've still got that dry line to work with out in front of what is likely going to be your cold front. So we're talking Tuesday severe weather from like Dallas all the way up to southern Minnesota and southwest Wisconsin.
Yep.
So take a sounding in the dead center of Iowa. So this is
Mm,
Iowa's a little further north, right there. So that's like Ames. Ames, Iowa is right about there. So mm, wonky look, but that's okay. So one of the issues that this setup does have is veering low level winds, as well as an instability profile issue. There may be so much cloud debris coming in that you have a lower ceiling of instability, kind of similar to what I was working with on April 3rd in Missouri, because that was pretty much a perfect setup. I was right on the triple point, but we were socked with clouds all day. So it went from 59 degrees to 67 degrees in about 8 minutes as that warm front passed to our north. But your forecast temperatures on all the models 2 days, even a day before, we're low 70s. That makes a huge difference in terms of your surface instability. So this is a day that's going to have to be watched because you have much stronger 500 millibar flow and much stronger flow overall working into this area. And then, you know what? Click on the frame, click on the hour this is on. What hour is this?
129.
129. Okay, so go get out of here and then click 129 and then pull up the 850 wins because these have been shifting around a little bit each run. So, yeah, that's why. So it's been detecting a little bit of shift in each run of this,
Mhm.
not only with where your low level jet core is, but also with the low placement. So
Got some dry
it's
air infiltrations there too.
yeah, not a good sign. So Tuesday is still it's going to be a significant day, most likely. I
Just a
think out
wild
of
card as to where.
yeah, it's anywhere from Dallas to Iowa. Like Monday and Tuesday are most likely going to be your more enhanced significant risk days, possibly even Wednesday as well. We'll see how fast that trough kicks out because that can also vary run to run versus what ends up actually happening in real life. So it's just you've got all these days lined up with fairly high ceilings from a mesoscale standpoint, especially with these early dryline days. And then once you finally get more of that synoptic forcing to shoot into the area, that's when your ceiling goes up exponentially higher. So it really bears watching. Let's go to the euro to kind of check the progression against that as well. And if you see any differences,
That
yeah,
closest I
that'll
can do is 126 or 132.
do 132. That's close enough. So the euro shows, I'd say that's a little bit less of a significant look, honestly. Um,
Yeah, it dips a lot lower and it's positive. It's more of a positive tilt inclination there
but you
too.
do
It's not
have
as
that
amplified.
one negative tilt portion of it further north. But it goes from one large trough to kind of a split. So that would increase the daily longevity of your severe threat because now you have two troughs that you're kind of working with,
Right here.
but
Yeah.
it's going to decrease like the moment intensity most likely.
Mhm.
So there's still plenty of things to work out with this upcoming sequence, and we will be providing updates. We might even do some shorts updates if the situation warrants. But make sure you stay tuned to our Facebook page as well. That's where our most consistent daily forecasting is done. And then you'll know if it's a significant day coming up if one of us do a short. We'll bring back the minute forecast series. Those are pretty well liked. And yeah, anything you got on the setup?
So, nothing really besides the fact that, like you were saying, there's a lot of factors at play. My take on the setup is it could be boom or it could be bust. Like you've got so many parts running. Like, yes, there's going to be ample shear. Yes, there's a potential for a strong dry line, very strong dry line. Yes, there's the potential for a really amplified strong trough. But um, like you were saying, like how many outbreaks have we seen get killed by parasitic growth? Like cloud cover, just cloud debris. I mean, we've seen events where the environment was too conducive too early. The Panhandle event that me and Kaleb chased a few weeks ago, that was an example. Super conducive environment. That's why we went out there to the Panhandle of Florida. The environment, the numbers, everything looked so good, but it was too good too fast. The storms fired too fast. We had a Boeing segment form before the sun came up, had beautiful structure, just gorgeous. Camera could not do it justice. But the problem is when you get those massive things that happen immediately off the offset because everything is so well set, it starts mixing the atmosphere, kind of like spinning in a washing machine, or if you start stirring a pot. And so what ends up happening is everything mixes in, your instability starts settling out, and your event ends up flattening out and busting. So there, like Kaleb was saying, this is one that's going to have to be closely watched because not only the behavior of the trough, but your cloud cover is going to be a massive factor in this one. There's so many soundings we've had that show like solid cloud cover from like the 500 millibar level up. If that happens, what's going to happen is that's going to limit daytime heating and that's going to limit your instability. Now, yes, could you still get storms? Yes, but I think all too often, sometimes forecasters end up missing the impact that cloud cover can do to degrade the significance of an event. So that's my take on it. I think cloud cover is going to be your wild card here. Not only trough positioning and forcing, but cloud cover is going to be your wild card here. We're going to have to watch that and see how that develops. That may even be a same day type of scenario where you monitor it throughout the day of. But cloud cover, in my opinion, cloud cover is going to be your wild card factor. And now, if you have been on the video
One
for
other
this
thing,
long,
real quick.
go ahead.
One other thing. If I'm a storm chaser and I'm out there, I'm honestly taking Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think those
That
are going to
part.
be your better days because you've got slower moving dry line fired supercells,
Mhm.
and then you just got to pick the one that's going to be a right mover.
Yeah.
The
And the fact
rest
of
of
the
the
matter
days,
is,
too much.
too, your dry line storms almost always overproduce. Big fan of the dry line in regards to potential all the time. Cannot cannot sleep on a dry line event ever. Um, and so what we were saying is if you have been on the video this long and you've hung with us this long, we just kind of want to give you a little bit of a sneak peek for something that's coming. This is our latest project. Yes, that's right. You have an app and a web page coming for Florida Man Does Weather that's going to have all of the cool gadgets and gizmos, location specific, you name it. This is going to be your one stop shop. It is still in the build, it's still in beta mode. So you're not going to really be able to get to it unless you're one of our beta testers. But we have all kinds of cool stuff getting ready to come in. We're going to be dropping this in the next month or so. We want to make sure we get all the kinks worked out before we drop it into the Play Store. It's going to be a dual purpose platform capable of coming up on the computer, as you can see here. It'll also be fully mobile. There will be push alerts for your app that's location specific to where you are, so you can get your weather advisories, your thunderstorm warnings, your tornado warnings, hurricane warnings, you name it. All of it's going to be here. Like I said, we're just taking our time, kicking the kinks out of it, fixing all the bugs. There's been a few coding and software bugs, but we're getting there. We're excited to share this with you. Like we said, we want to kind of give you a treat if you hung in through the video. Just stay tuned. There will be more updates to this in the future as we progress. And the goal is to have this fully functional and rolling and operational before hurricane season. That way, you guys will have all of the latest information at your fingertips. I know we're based out of Florida. We're designing this app to be used anywhere in the continental United States, um, as well as Alaska and Hawaii. Um, we're not to the international level yet. That is the goal, though, but we are not quite there yet. There's a lot more hoops we have to jump through to get international access. That is the goal, though. We'll ultimately end up getting there. But yeah, we're excited. Stay tuned. There's a lot of awesome things coming in the near future.
Oh yeah.
And so
Thank you
that's
guys.
yes, we wouldn't be able to do this without you guys' support. And honestly, you guys are the reason that we keep this going. With that, I believe that is it for tonight, everybody. We hope you have a great weekend. Kaleb will be holding the fort down here while I'm out of here at Disney World for the next 3 days. So Kaleb will be getting your daily forecast up on Facebook and dropping some more content here on YouTube. Other than that, we will see you next week for our next forecast. And Florida Man,